1. Childhood and family. Benjamin Franklin was born on January 17, 1706, in Boston, Massachusetts. He was the 15th child in a very big family of 17 children. His father, Josiah Franklin, was a candle and soap maker. His mother, Abiah Folger, was a strong and caring woman. As a child, Benjamin loved to read. Books were his greatest treasure. He only had 2 years of formal school because his family was not rich. Still, he educated himself by reading everything he could find. He especially loved stories about science, travel, and history. When he was 12 years old, Benjamin became an apprentice to his older brother James, who was a printer. Printing was hard work, but it gave Franklin the chance to read many books and newspapers. This experience opened his mind and helped him improve his writing. At the age of 16, Benjamin secretly wrote funny and clever letters under the name Mrs. Silence Do-Good. These letters were published in his brother's newspaper and became very popular. Nobody knew it was young Benjamin writing them. 2. A young man in Philadelphia and London. At the age of 17, Franklin decided to leave Boston and start a new life. He moved to Philadelphia, the largest city in the American colonies. He had only a little money, but he was full of ambition. In Philadelphia, Benjamin worked as a printer. His intelligence and good character quickly attracted attention. Soon, the governor of Pennsylvania promised to help him start his own printing business. With this hope, Franklin traveled to London in 1724. However, things did not go as planned. The governor did not keep his promise, and Franklin had no financial support. In London, he worked as a printer for 2 years, learning new skills and improving his trade. Even though it was difficult, this time gave Franklin valuable experience and confidence. In 1726, Benjamin returned to Philadelphia. He was ready to begin his independent career and build a better future. 3. Successful printer and businessman. Back in Philadelphia, Franklin started his own printing business in 1728. At first, he worked very hard with little money, but soon his business grew. In 1729, he bought a newspaper called the Pennsylvania Gazette. This newspaper became one of the most successful in the colonies. Franklin was not only a good printer, but also a talented writer. He wrote articles that were clear, simple, and full of humor. People loved to read his words. In 1732, he started publishing Poor Richard's Almanac. It was a small book with weather forecasts, practical advice, proverbs, and jokes. Franklin used the pen name Richard Saunders. The almanac became extremely popular and made him rich. Some of his famous sayings, like "early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise," are still remembered today. By the 1740s, Franklin was one of the most successful businessmen in Philadelphia. He invested in other printing shops, opened a bookstore, and even helped establish the first library in America. By 1748, he was wealthy enough to retire from daily business and focus on public service and science. 4. Public projects and civic work. Franklin was not only interested in making money, he also wanted to improve life in his city. He believed that a strong community was important for everyone's success. He started many public projects in Philadelphia. The first subscription library in 1731, so people could borrow books. The first volunteer fire department in 1736 to protect homes and businesses. The American Philosophical Society in 1743, where people could share scientific ideas. 5. Science and inventions. Franklin is famous not only as a writer and politician, but also as a scientist and inventor. He was always curious about how the world works. He studied electricity and became one of the leading scientists of his time. In 1752, he performed his famous kite experiment. During a thunderstorm, he flew a kite with a metal key attached to the string. This proved that lightning was a form of electricity. His discoveries made him famous in Europe, and he received honors from scientific societies. Franklin also invented many useful things: the lightning rod, which protected houses from fire; bifocal glasses, so people could see both near and far; the Franklin stove, which gave more heat with less wood; and a simple musical instrument called the glass harmonica, which even Mozart later used in his music. He never patented his inventions because he believed that knowledge should be shared freely to help everyone. 6. Politics and diplomacy. In the 1750s, Franklin became more involved in politics. At first, he represented Pennsylvania in the colonial government. Later, he traveled to London as an agent for several colonies. He spent almost 20 years in England trying to improve relations between the American colonies and Britain. At first, Franklin was loyal to the British Crown, but when Britain introduced unfair taxes like the Stamp Act, Franklin began to support independence. He defended the rights of the colonies in speeches and writings. By the 1770s, Franklin had become one of the most respected leaders in America. He returned to Philadelphia in 1775, just as the conflict with Britain was turning into the American Revolution. 7. Founding Father and Final Years. Franklin played a key role in the birth of the United States. In 1776, he was part of the committee that wrote the Declaration of Independence. His wisdom and humor helped unite the delegates. Soon after, Franklin traveled to France as an American diplomat. He was already famous in Europe as a scientist and thinker. The French people loved him. He used his charm and intelligence to win French support for the American Revolution. Thanks to his efforts, France sent money, weapons, and soldiers, which helped America win independence. In 1783, Franklin helped negotiate the Treaty of Paris, which officially ended the war and recognized the United States as a free nation. In his later years, Franklin continued to serve his country. He was part of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, helping to design the U.S. Constitution. He also spoke against slavery, showing his belief in freedom for all. Benjamin Franklin died on April 17, 1790, at the age of 84. Over 20,000 people attended his funeral in Philadelphia. He left behind a legacy as a writer, scientist, inventor, diplomat, and one of America's greatest founding fathers. The Academy of Philadelphia in 1749, which later became the University of Pennsylvania. He also helped improve streets, build better lamps for lighting, and organize a postal system. Franklin believed that education, cooperation, and civic duty were the foundation of a good society.